Hi everyone, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel of City Gal Country Roots. And today we're talking about I want a homestead big, but I can't yet. Okay, so we're gonna go over a little bit about our dreams for the homestead, where we are right now, and some of the different things, tips, tricks, how-tos that we're learning and developing now to help prepare us for in the future. So you guys have seen the backyard garden tour video. If not, it's linked up top. And our lot that we're on right now is 4,365 square feet. Okay, that includes our house, which is about 1,300 square feet, I think, maybe a little bit smaller. So we're not on a very large lot at all. In acres, it's about 0.1 acre. Okay, so about 1/10 of an acre. And that's not a ton of land. However, I will say, you know, just from checking out our backyard garden, you guys can see that we do have a good amount of space to work with, especially in consideration of some of the folks that are in the Philadelphia area or even in the city itself that don't have anywhere near what we have, especially if they're living in an apartment, or what I always call like the concrete jungle, where you have like an alleyway and a patio in the front. So that's kind of like where we are. So let's talk about where we want to go. So our really big dream is to have anywhere from minimum of 1 acre, that's like our minimum, all the way up to about 5 acres, which is something that we feel like the two of us, or even maybe if we had a little bit of help, we could do on our own without being a super big operation. And we want to be able to raise anything that we want, right, without a lot of limitations. So without limitations on the kind of animals that they are and the amount of animals in which we can have. Now, with that being said, I don't want to get to a point where I have 100 animals, right? Just that's not realistic to me. And it's also not something that I think we would ever have enough space to give those animals what they would need. And so that's important to us. So we just want to be able to do it without limits on the amount and the types of animals. We'd also like to have enough space where if, you know, friends or family or people that were working or for the farm or anything like that could potentially put like a tiny house or a trailer or a double wide or whatever like on the property, and be there and be able to share in the land with us and help us, but also having their own space would be really great. I need to have a really big garden that also has a greenhouse. I'd love to have some kind of orchard, even if it's not, you know, big, maybe 20 or 30 trees that are just going and are giving us fruit and all that kind of stuff throughout the year. I'd love to have that. And also like a root cellar to store a lot of those fruits and vegetables would be great throughout the winter. That's something that we don't have in our current house. And a really big kitchen. Okay, so I have a galley kitchen. It's like short and little and was great when I first moved in, but is not the most functional kitchen for the things that I want to do. And so a big kitchen would be wonderful. So those are like, you know, where we are with our 0.1 acre and where we want to go upwards of 5 acres. And so in that, right, I think a lot of people are in this position where they're like, well, crap, like I don't have the money to move, or, you know, my kids are in school, or whatever it is, right? You can't get there yet. And I think the biggest thing for us is that we're learning is like start to prepare now. So there's a lot of different skills that you can learn, a lot of things that you can do, books you can read, even just working on like your mindset for it that you can do right now. So a couple tips I have and things that we're doing or starting to do or want to do in the future. Shop at a farmer's market, right? Get to know what grows in your area. Get to know what it's like to eat seasonally, which is not something I'm great at, right? Eating seasonally means eating things that are actually in growing season during that time. Not something that you're like, oh, I'm going to eat tomatoes in December, right? That's not when they're growing, okay? So like get in the habit of eating seasonally, going to farmers markets, talking to those folks that are already immersed in the culture in which you want to be in, and start to learn from them. Is a really great way to do it. Just from that, also like baking your own home goods or cooking from scratch is a great skill to learn, right? Learn how to make a basic bread, which I'm going to do a video on. Learn how to do some dinner rolls. You know, I want to learn how to make my own pasta sauce. Learn how to do some of these things from scratch. And then as you progress, right, as you start gardening, it's another big skill I'm going to talk about. Like as you progress, then you can start to be like, oh, okay, so like I know how to make this from scratch. I know how to make this pasta sauce. Let me grow the tomatoes, right? Let me grow the herbs. Let me grow the basil. Let me grow the oregano. And so you can take one skill where you're getting most of it from a farmer's market or produce junction or the grocery store, if that's what you have. You're getting those things, and then you're building on that skill development and becoming more and more self-sustaining. So growing herbs is a really good start. If you don't have the space to like do a full garden, doing like a little herb box in a great windowsill that gets a lot of light in a container that also drains really well, because most herbs don't like to have their, what they call their feet or their roots soaking wet. You know, that's a really great way. Start adding in fresh herbs to what you're already cooking at home. You know, that's phenomenal. It's a great way to start if you're in a small space. If you have the ability, right, to do like a little small garden, maybe in your backyard, in your front yard, wherever, start that. Even a little 2x2 foot bed, right? You can get some stuff growing in there, and the kids, if you have kids or nieces, nephews, whomever, like, they can start to enjoy and learn as well. And so gardening is something I really recommend doing this as soon as you can, whether it's starting with herbs in a windowsill, learning how to do some microgreens inside, or if you have a small space outside, get your hands in the ground ASAP. And the reason is there's a learning curve to gardening, right? I'm doing a lot of videos. I have a whole like planning gardening series, and I have some direct sow videos, which I'll link for you up in the top. But like, there's a learning curve to gardening, right? There are certain things that are also out of your control, like the weather. How do you handle it when you get a late frost in May? It happened a couple years ago, and like tons of stuff dies, right? What do you do? How do you mentally handle that? What do you then try to put in the ground to get it going? These are all skills with gardening that you can learn now in a small scale before you're doing it on that bigger homestead that you're envisioning with 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 beds and a lot of produce. Learn some of this stuff now. Also with that is like composting. So a great way to start to like reduce your waste is to compost if you have a garden. I'll do a video on composting and showing you guys my system. And it's really easy, like eggshells, fruits or vegetables that have like kind of gone a little funky that you know you're not going to eat. Start putting them in the trash can, put them in your compost bin, and then start producing your own soil, right? Your own compostable materials, a great way to start the homesteading journey. Along with some of that is also going to be, you know, with gardening and all of that stuff, is going to be learning to can. That is on my bucket list this summer. Like, I am going to can green beans, and I'm going to can pasta sauce. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to turn out in anything that I can eat, but I'm going to make the attempt to learn it this year because it's something that's really important to me. And it's also something that is dear to my heart, and it's something I want to learn, you know, as a tribute to my great-grandmother, Grandma Helms. She was a canner, and so that's something that I want to learn just to be closer to her and closer to my roots. So learning how to can, learning how to save those things, those tastes and those fruits and veggies from the summer, learn how to save them so that way you can enjoy them in their off season. I'm also trying to learn some basic tool skills. You can check out the really funny video linked above when I'm trying to build my own chicken grazing box, and it turns into a Sean helping me build my chicken grazing box. But just getting some basic tool skills so you can build your own chicken coop or your own fencing or fix things around the house or your homestead when you get there. And then the last thing, and this is like a major if, depending on where you live, is maybe starting with some like very small homestead animals. So like we have chickens now. I'm really excited about that. You guys can watch some cute videos on them. We're starting with chickens. We've been thinking about like Angora rabbits that we could raise for wool that don't need a lot of space and that we can't, you know, get in trouble in our area for having. So if you have the space and the time and the availability, you know, and you're that far in your journey, or you want to be, maybe even start thinking about getting some homestead type animals that you can work with. So again, guys, that was kind of just, you know, thinking about where we are, where we want to be, and what are some of the skills, or even not skills, but, you know, ways in which you can change your life to develop and start to learn those different things that you're going to need when you eventually get that homestead that you're going to get, right? Because it's going to get there for you. It's going to happen. But you got to start working towards it and letting it manifest in that way. And so in the comments below, go ahead and drop down what you're learning, right? What are some things that you've taught yourself or learned from others or found that you want to try to help you build those skills? Leave that for us down below in the comments so we can all learn together. Don't forget, if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button down below, ring that notification bell, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks, City Gal, Country Roots.